અનમ્યુટ કરો સાહેબ રસિકભાઈ.
રસિકભાઈને અનમ્યુટ કરી દો. અનમ્યુટેડ છે રસિકભાઈ.
હા રસિકભાઈ મ્યુટ છે.
મ્યુટેડ છે.
અરે મ્યુટ છે. ખાલી કેમેરા ચાલુ છે હમણાં.
ચલો સ્ટીલ થઈ ગયા, કઈ વાંધો નહીં. 6:35 થઈ ગઈ છે. એક જ મિનિટ આપજો મને. બધાને વેલકમ કરું ત્યાર સુધી રેકોર્ડિંગ ચાલુ.
બોલા છો મેગેઝિન નથી આપણું જ્યોતિ આવતું ને જ્યોતિ મેગેઝિનમાં.
This meeting is being recorded.
प्रार्थनाની શરૂઆત કરા.
Atulbhai, welcome. Please welcome all and begin this meeting today.
On behalf of Reva Lodge, Rohit Lodge of Gujarat and other lodges of Gujarat and Jyoti Lodge of Mumbai, we all welcome to participants and today's speaker Mandalika Lakshmi for her lecture on oneness, first proposition of Theosophical Society. And now Parveen Patel will start prayer.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden light, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
May each who feels himself as one with thee.
May each who feels himself as one with thee.
Know he is therefore one with every other.
Know he is therefore one with every other.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti.
Good evening, all of you. Today is also a special privilege for all of us. On behalf of Reva Lodge, Rohit Lodge Ahmedabad, Jyoti Lodge Mumbai, Lakshmi Mandalika ji will deliver her speech on the topic oneness. To introduce her, let me brief something very special about her. Educationally, she is BSc, MA and B.Ed. She worked as a teacher. She got retired from Central School. She belongs to Vijayanagaram Lodge of Telugu Federation. She is really very honest in her study, hardworking and resourceful. She conducted one seminar at Adyar in 2019 under South India Conference. And also she attended one workshop conducted at the Times of India building in Mumbai. It was the subject Love J. Krishnamurti. So in this way, we have very renowned speaker today. I welcome her and I request her to go with her subject, that is oneness. Sister Lakshmi Mandalika.
Dear brothers and sisters, namaste to all of you. Today, the topic is especially the first proposition of secret doctrine. There are 3 propositions. To understand secret doctrine, we have to read the 3 propositions previously. The first proposition is there is an immutable principle and to describe it in words is to dwarfen it. It cannot be described with words. It cannot be known with the mind. In Sanskrit, we say avang manasa gocharam, means it cannot be known with the words, or it cannot be known by with the mind. And to describe it is to dwarfen it. That is the principle. It's an immutable principle, all pervading, and that is the main thing and power of. And the second proposition also from that, there is one over. Second proposition is saying that from that one principle, crores and crores of universes are emerging, and they are again merging in that, like an ebb and tide of an ocean in an orderly way. All the universes are merging, and again they are merging in that. So that is the second proposition. And the third proposition is there is one oversoul, and in that from that oversoul, crores and crores of souls are coming out, and again they are merging in the oversoul. So that is the third proposition. Of course, the three are saying about the one immutable principle, and it cannot be known with the senses, neither with the mind, nor with the thought, or whatever we say, it cannot be known. And that is everywhere. Whatever we are finding the universe, it is not real. And in Tripura Rahasya, Lord Dattatreya was explaining to Parashurama the unreality of the universe. The universe we see only with the senses. We are able to perceive the universe with the senses. But the universe is as real as our dream. It's a long dream, of course. The dream, after we get up, it vanishes. And we understand it is unreal. But before we sleep, this world is there. And after we get up, the world is there. So we think it is permanent. It is real. But the world which we are seeing around us is not real. There is one immutable principle, whatever here is said, there we say Parabrahman, whatever name we give, there is nothing, we can't describe it with the words. So that immutable principle is all pervading. And of course, with the mind we are habituated to work in the world. Everything we understand with the world. To learn anything, we are using the word, mind. With the mind only, we do all our activities of the world. But that mind is not useful to know our own innate self, that is that one principle, that is there inside us, outside us, and that is only the real thing. All that is what we are perceiving with the senses, it is not real. But we are under the impression that this is real. Because this is real only with the senses. If the senses are not working, there is no world. So that one thing, even in Mahavakyas, in our Upanishads, it is said that Aham Brahmasmi. So that one principle is myself. Tattvamasi. You are that. I am Atma Brahman. That means whatever you say, this Atman is that one principle Brahman. And the fourth one is Prajnanam Brahma. That is that knowledge, not that accumulation of all the facts, but that wisdom is that principle. So to understand this, we have to come little bit, we have to increase with a lot of attention. If you listen, you can understand. Of course, not with the mind, to be that. Because then why should we understand this? Because that is the reality. Whatever we are doing in the world, thinking it is real, this is unreal. That's what Krishnamurti ji is always trying in every one of his speeches, that in our day-to-day life, we have to perceive that our own self is that only. So if that is beyond our perception of our life, our day-to-day incidents and everything, if that type of meditation we are doing, it is useless, he says. So our meditation should be all inclusive. So he used to express it: observe your anger with total attention and with pure silence, with an innocent mind and without any thought. So we know how to be angry, but we don't know how to, we don't know what is anger. We never try to study. So observe the anger without any thought. And in that way, we come to that reality. That is the point. He never says the end, the result, but he shows us like that. Here also we are saying, whatever everywhere or around us, with the senses, whatever we are perceiving, we feel this is real. And the reality is beyond us. And that is why to express is to dwarfen it. Means if it cannot be expressed, if it cannot be perceived by the senses, if it cannot be perceived by the mind, how can we say it is real? Because it can be known when you go beyond the mind. That's what Krishnamurti says. Go beyond the mind. As long as the me is there, the mind is there. If we are going beyond the mind, there is no me, there is no thought, and there is the reality. So, with the mind, we always try to perceive that which cannot be perceived with the mind. And we say, I'm not able to perceive with the mind, so it is not there. But it is not. So, in that, the unreality of the world also expressed. See, the world we think real because only with the senses, as we are perceiving, it is real. But it is not the thing. The reality is beyond all. And that's what we have to contemplate always. We have to know our own thing, our own self. That is the fundamental thing according to J.K. We have to, self-knowledge is very essential. It is not the end of the life. Generally, many people say the self-knowledge is required at the end of the life. It's the fundamental thing. It's the essential thing. So Krishnamurti ji says the method is, of course it is not a method. Our consciousness is filled. It should be empty. And it is what I say, my content is my consciousness. My likes, my dislikes, my attachments, and my hopes, all these I call me. And that is the content. And if we empty the content, can't we? Slowly and slowly, it's not even slowly, we can try to empty the content. And the content and you empty, that is the reality. So we are feeling our content is ourselves, which is not the real. Our images, our feelings towards others, all these things we feel, I are the content. So the emptying the content is that consciousness, that is the reality. So in this way, even in Tripura Rahasya, it is said by Dattatreya that you observe Nirvikalpa, Savikalpa. Savikalpa means all the things and the thoughts and all the feelings are there. That is content. And the moment it is emptied, it becomes Nirvikalpa. Then the mind becomes pure. And there that self, that reality is there. Whatever we say, the reality we are naming as Parabrahman. Whatever name we give, it doesn't matter. So that reality we need not bring from anywhere. It is shining inside, always. What we have to do is, we have to remove all the obstacles, one after another. And that we say, sadhana. But to remove the obstacles, only we are all trying in the entire life, because we need not try to bring that which is inside, that immutable principle, from anywhere. It is always inside. For example, a light is lighting and around it so many layers are there. Then the light cannot be known for us, layer after layer. If you remove all your layers, the light shines. It is there only shining. In the same way, that which is inside us is always shining. What we are doing is, we have to remove one after another. First thing is, to do this thing, we must have the sense control and self-control. That is why, if the mind is pure and if there is control on the senses, then only we can do this work. That is removing. That is what you say. It is said that a person did 100 years or 80 years or 60 years meditation, but there is no use if he doesn't empty his content. That is what it is said in our Shastras. That is, you can empty that content by inquiry. That is, then that is very, very essential. Very essential step is inquiry. Krishnamurti ji says, observe it with total attention. When you do it with total attention, with a pure mind, with all of your energy, with an innocent mind like a child, observe it and it dissolves. So that is the method. Method is, it's not a method, of course, he never says it is a method, but he says, let us sit together, that what happens. And that is the beauty of Krishnamurti's teaching, of course. Such a mighty thing also he explains in a very simple way. That too, you need not go anywhere, you need not fast, you need not this thing, do this thing or that thing. But we rarely understand him. He is not an atheist. He is saying that immutable principle. Even in Yoga Vasishta, when sage Vasishta met Lord Shiva, because one day Lord Shiva appeared to him. Then he asked, what is the nature of that Almighty? How to worship him? Though he was such a great sage, he was an enlightened person, he asked Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva replied, if you worship with flowers, it's not right worship. If you worship an image or a symbol or an idol, it's not right worship. It's wrong. It's a sin, he said, because that reality has no shape. It is beyond the form. And such a formless thing you always worship with your pure mind. So this is in such a way, a long way, he gave the reply. Whatever we are doing now is not right. So that's what Theosophy is also teaching us. Theosophy doesn't accept the anthropomorphized God. A God with a shape, Theosophy doesn't accept. That means masters doesn't accept. They do not accept. Because God has no definite shape. He is everywhere, all-pervading, and immutable, omnipotent, and omniscient. Such a thing, omnipotent means he has a lot of potential power. Omniscient is everywhere. He cannot be limited to one place. You cannot say here he is not there. Everywhere he is filled, but not with a form. We have to remember that. The moment you try to describe, you are doing it wrong, because it cannot be described. And when you are observing totally with attention, the observer won't be there. And the observed is not there. For example, a small toy made of salt went to find out the sea. What is the length of the sea? The moment it went into the sea, it merged. That happens to the person. When he is observing, the observer will dissolve. And that which is observed is dissolved. Only that reality will be there. So that is the oneness, one thing, everywhere, all pervading consciousness. It's in everywhere and in everything. It's unlimited, and you cannot even imagine that, because such a you see, myriads of universes are emerging in one corner of that, and they are again merging in that, and this is continuous process. Means, can we imagine that? So, but it is Purnam. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnat Purnamudachyate, means it is totally, Purna means complete. We cannot say it has no incompleteness. So any God, whatever, whomever is worshipping, without that Brahman or that one principle, he won't work. So from all the gods, that one omniscient principle is working. If that principle is not working, if that Brahman is not there, the gods are powerless. Same thing even with us. That is what that Mahavakya says, Tattvamasi. You are that. What is that? You are that omnipotent principle. But even though you are that, why you are not able to realize that? That is the thing, that is the object of our life. I am not limited to this body. I am not limited to this mind. I am not limited to this intellect. I say my intellect, my body, my mind. Means I am not that. I am beyond that. I am all pervading consciousness. That is the reality. But we can say only words. The realization is very essential. And the moment you always find what we are doing, sadhana or about what we are saying, practice with this, shishya, the path, all the things, discipleship, only we are practicing to remove all our hindrances. We identify with our body, and as we identify with our body, we are making that immutable self small to a small body. And when we identify with the body, then I consciousness starts. Not only I consciousness, doership, enjoyership, all this starts with the identification of the body. So what we are trying, as we identified in many births from a long time, the same way with a lot of willpower we have to remove that ourselves. No others can do that. We identify with the mind, identify with our intellect, and that is why all the sorrow starts. When you identify yourself with the body, which is not a real thing, you feel kama, anger, kama, krodha, mada, moha, lobha, masaya. Means all 6 enemies will start to attack you. When you observe your reality, that is the body is my instrument, I'm not the body. The body is Sariramadhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. Body is given to me to do the righteous work. But I'm not the body. Such a small body, I'm not limited. We have to remember this point always. So that because we identify with the body, my people, other people, this otherness, this fragmentation starts because of the ignorance. They are my people, they are not my people, these things will start. Because when division starts, then all sorts of violence is there. This division because I am in you, I am in everybody, I am in this body, I am everywhere. That is the reality. But I think the people who are related to my body are my people. Then Lord Dattatreya says, in your body there are so many worms. If somebody is related to you, you think they are your people, then the worms also are your people. If they die also you have to cry. So there is no real my people. It is only this imagination. We always live in that, in psychological For psychological security, we make so many things with the mind, and we live in that. There is not a real security, because there is no security at all. We are always secure. The insecurity we are feeling because of the ignorance of the mind. So all these things we have to remember, then only we live in the reality. Somebody asked Anidisant, though I know I am not the body, why I always feel that I am the body? Then Anidisant replied, from so many incarnations, you fed your mind that I am the body. So again and again you are coming to that wrong thought. Then what to do? With such a willpower, you have to remember second by second that body is your instrument. And that is the reality. We never be, our inside Atman will not be satisfied with unreality. It always tries to get the reality. So our main object is to see inside. That is, our inside is, that is Aham Brahmasmi, means I am that reality. And this thing, not with the intellectual level, but actually we have to perceive it. That is the main object. Then, under that light, if you study anything, you can understand very nicely. So that is the main thing in our life. We have to perceive the oneness. Then one example I give. It says that we know that Einstein gave us, the scientist Einstein gave us a principle or an equation, E is equal to mc square. E means energy. By the accumulation of energy, matter is formed. By the destruction of energy, matter is, again, a lot of energy is formed. And the same principle is used in the functioning of the atom bomb. By the destruction of an atom, immense energy is formed. So in that principle, you see, you hold a small match stick and you understand, this is not the matchstick, this is the energy which is in the matchstick. And you see the energy, you will not see that matchstick. You see the energy everywhere. Then for you the world is not real. You find energy only. Instead of the energy, you see Brahman. So you will not, you understand what you are seeing, the entire world is not real. That is everywhere the Brahman. That is the reality. That is why the yogi, the wisest person who realized that, he will find everywhere the truth, that reality. He doesn't see this universe or the world as world. This unreal thing and all these feelings he doesn't get, because he's beyond mind. And with beyond mind only, we perceive that reality. That's what in Krishnamurti is teaching. He says you observe your sorrow without mind. Because this thought, this mind is the obstruction. Even in theosophy it says, mind is the killer of the real. Means, because of the mind, the reality we are not able to perceive. And that's why, without thought, we find the reality. Thought is the obstruction. We may use the thought for all worldly activities. We should know how to use this limited instrument thought. Where it is required, you have to use. Where it is not required, you shouldn't use. This thought is not required to perceive our own self. For the inward journey, in Sanskrit we say Saswarupa Jnana. The thought is a useless instrument. But that thought is required to understand one computer operation, to know anything in the world, to study anything, thought is required. But that thought is not essential or useless to know our own self, which is not of the past. It is always lively. And such a dynamic self, that which is belonged to past, that which is limited to past, that is thought, cannot catch. For example, you take a tumbler and try to measure the water of the ocean. How funny, how silly it is. In that way, to know that measureless, you want to measure with the thought, it will be equally silly. Thought is a useless instrument. You have to understand that thought which is useful everywhere is not useful there. And all these things we have to observe very keenly. Yourself, not somebody saying I have to see. And these are all in our approachable for everybody. It can be perceived by everybody also. And this is very essential in our life, because to understand and to perceive the reality is our life. So we say all the things that I know everything. We know all with the intellect. We are living in images. I have an image of myself. I have an image of others. And there is no love. When you are in your own self, love emerges. That is why that thing is very essential in our life. No more world wars, no more wars anywhere, no more conflict inside us. We are all living and spending a lot of energy for conflict every day, because this conflict is coming because of the content of the mind. It is filled, content of our consciousness. And we spend a lot of energy for this conflict. And when we try to understand ourselves, all the energy which went all these times for conflict, it will be accumulated. And you can know yourself. And you cannot know. You can be the self. You are that. So that is the thing. And there's a very marvelous thing, wonderful thing also. That is the reality. And everyone must understand that what type of life we are living. We feel for our inconvenience, for our restlessness, somebody is responsible because of ignorance. And we are not able to do any type of service because we are living in the conflict. So this oneness is such an essential thing in our life. And this is the reality. Why should we live in an unreal way manner? And of course, I invite many questions, because this you can ask, how can you say this world is appearing? I am able to perceive it. How can you say it is unreal? We are able to perceive the world only with the senses. We have to remember that point. Only with the senses and the mind, but not beyond. So we have to contemplate on this thing, that which I am thinking real is not real. And that which is above it, beyond it, is only the reality. And that reality only will make me free. We say moksha or freedom or enlightenment, all these things are the only thing inside us. I am only abstracting to see my own light. So whatever abstracting, things are abstracting. To remove them, to come out of them, is my responsibility. And we have to lead such a life, a life of responsibility, care, and our life will be totally transformed. When you lead such a life, generally we are very irresponsible. We don't pay attention to anything, and we are restless. These all things are because we never understand ourselves. So this ourselves, we feel this body is me, and we start functioning. And that is why all the sorts of miseries are coming, sorrows are coming, and we are not satisfied with our life. We try some escape. We want to do something. We want to participate in club activities or TV. We have to always, from ourselves, we are running, escaping from myself. We are leading the life in that way. we are not able to face the things. When you try to face everything, everything will be dissolved with total attention. This thing is possible for everybody. We think only with the mind everything is possible. A lot of things are in beyond the mind. And that is what Theosophy is saying. But we are studying only the surface level of Theosophy. Madam Blavatsky's first principle is saying that only. And if you understand that, then only you can understand secret doctrine. Because these things, the oneness that is beyond the mind point, we have to, everywhere the one thing is there, no two are there. Except that omnipotent principle, no other thing is there in the universe. That point you have to understand clearly. That is what in Sanskrit, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. Ekameva Advitiyam. There is no two, only one is there. Na Anyah Pandhaha means there is no other path. Even if this birth, in this birth or in another birth, you have to come to this path. Means na anyaha means no other path. Means this is the only path you have to come. This is the only reality you have to observe. No others. You may don't like, you may like or not. You may go here and there. Finally, you have to come to this reality to understand yourself. That is the goal of the human life. So all these things, all incarnations are this, that we are getting because of this identification with the body. As long as we identify with the body, all the troubles we enjoy, all the sorrows we enjoy. So this identification I have to observe, and then I can come out that I realize myself I'm not this body. And this is very essential in our life. And the moment you understand that, the knowledge itself reveals from you, from everybody, no one is less. That is why man is fundamentally divine, potentially divine. Every man is potentially divine. That's what Theosophy says. So we need not say this man is less, that man is less. Nobody is more, nobody is less. The fundamental unity of everything is that. When you realize that I am the omnipotent principle, you find that everybody is that. That is the fundamental reality we have to realize. That is the brotherhood also. Simply brother saying is not brotherhood. Or writing is not brotherhood. Internally, we have to experience that. We have to experience the brotherhood not only with the human beings, but in the animals, plants, and all. So, even the mineral kingdom also. Because Buddha says, even the atom, I wait here without taking nirvana, without going. This atom on the earth should become, every atom on the earth should become a master. A master is a person who is an adept, having no, he is incapable of doing any mistake. He is complete. So that is our goal. That is evolution. Master's plan is evolution, perfection. We are taking birth after the birth to perfect ourselves. It's not simply. And in the kingdom of God, there is no punishment. It is purgation. Purgation is learning something with that punishment. Simply giving punishment is not there. With that suffering, we learn something. And learning something, even in one incarnation, we feel some qualities. And in another incarnation, we feel some other qualities. And then we become perfect. To become perfect, we are taking birth after birth. There is a plan. That is, the master has a plan, all the masters. That is the divine plan. The plan is evolution, the perfection of the individuals. So this is our plan, and everybody in the universe should work for that. Because when you understand, when you are one with the plan, there is no other goal except working for the plan. You will be one with Master's divine plan. And that will be, everybody work for that. perfection of the brothers. And that is the life. Then with understanding, with a lot of pleasure, happiness, because it is we don't feel that we are sacrificing something, because there is love. Love doesn't feel that it is sacrificing everything. So to understand our real self, this detachment is very much required. That's why at the feet of the master, Krishnamurti ji says that those who want to get moksha or liberation, 4 qualities are required: discrimination, desirelessness, good conduct, and love. So those who have all these good qualities, they surely will attain that liberation. So everywhere, all our knowledge, theosophical knowledge or any knowledge, is saying only leading for perfection, that is to our own Swaswarupa Dhyana, that is to realize that there is only one principle, that is Swaswarupa Dhyana. So this is an essential thing in our life. Whatever book we are reading in Theosophical Society, the object is to realize that one immutable principle. And knowingly or unknowingly, we are all going towards that. That's why Madam Blavatsky says it's an obligatory journey. Means people, whether they like or not, we are going towards that side. But after knowing, we work for it, and then our speed, that is the reaching point, will be very fast. If not, as in one book, Madam Annie Besant described, there is a mountain and there is a temple, and people are moving and moving around it without knowing where they are going. Some are moving forward and coming backward. Some are moving round and round. But very few people realize there is a shortcut path to the temple, and they climb, though it is hard, that mountain and reach the temple. By the time they reach the temple, they acquire certain qualities. That's what in our Theosophical Society, first initiation, like that initiations they are saying. At the time of first initiation, we get some qualities. At the time of second initiation, some other qualities. And like that, we are becoming perfect, and we reach to the master's level. That is our goal. You know, those masters, it is written in that also, there are so many masters, they don't come back taking human form. But some people are there, they with a lot of compassion, they help the humanity to go forward. What is the going forward? To realize their own nature. That is that omnipotent principle, as Madam Blavatsky mentioned in the first proposition, or as it is said in our epics, that Brahman, as in Bhagavad Gita it is said Brahman. So they named it. You can name anywhere. Whatever name you give, name doesn't matter. That reality we have to understand. So all the things, all our books, all our things, simply by reading, we never get. We must have the urge for truth. That urge is the driving force inside us. And then that will make us realize. So these are all the important qualities. And of course, whatever topic I chose today is a little bit higher topic, I think, for people, but very important also, because this is the purpose of our life. In all the books, it is written in that way. And we feel that type of satisfaction that our life reached its purpose. And that is why philosophy says, help others, help others. By helping others, this help others is a word. When you are thinking, I am the body in the body level. When I am thinking, I am the mind in the mind level. When I am thinking, I am the intellect in the intellectual level. When I come out of the stage, then service will be changed. To give knowledge, to free, is real help. So that is a very big help. feeding food. It is more important, less important. When he was discussing, he said, feeding the poor man is important, but giving the knowledge is more important. Only a person who has wisdom can only give knowledge. Knowledge means not simply information. We have to remember, filling the mind with information doesn't do any work. Even Shiva Sutras, it is said that they simply empty the mind. Dhyanam bandha means whatever we are learning will bind us. Bind means it is a hindrance to perceive the reality. We have to unlearn all the knowledge. We have to empty ourselves. And if we catch all those things, we understand the emptying is the main thing. For that, no type of education is required. We need not go and study in any college. We have to empty ourselves. That thing. And every minute we should be in such a way that I know nothing. And we have to empty. When we are listening to anybody, empty and listen. And that is why Sravaka stage is very important for a disciple. A lot of listening is very important. If you empty yourself and listen, listening will transform immediately. Perception is changed. The moment you perceive, change will be there. There will be a lot of transformation in the life. Simply by, without any prejudice, without any predetermined ideas, if you listen, listening itself will help a lot. So we can understand in our life, by living a simple life, we attain the reality, and then we'll be like the masters, will be the radiating force of love, centers of love, and we try for the evolution of our brothers, and that is the purpose of human life. According to theosophy, according to masters, and even if we see ourselves also deeply, the purpose of life is that. To be an instrument in the master's hand means it's not a simple thing. So, finally, this principle is saying that omnipotent principle is everywhere. And we have to perceive it. That is what in one Upanishad it is said, Isa Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Means everywhere. This Idam Sarvam. Sarvam means full. This full thing is nothing but God. Or Isa means that one reality. And one more thing, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Madam Blavatsky says in the first proposition also, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. This everything is nothing but Brahman. She quoted that. It's from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, like that. So all this thing is nothing but Brahman. You need not go to any temple. You need not go to Himalayas. You can be in your place and you find the Brahman here, now itself. So this is what Krishnamurti ji is saying. And I find our theosophy and Krishnamurti's teaching are the same. The words are different. Now here you can find. So with this I conclude. And if you have any doubt, it is better to clarify. I think I am clear.
Lakshmi ji, what you are.
Ashwin, your voice is not coming correct. Please remove the ducks. Thank you, Lakshmi ji.
જે વાત કરી એને ગુજરાતીમાં
Okay.
6 મિનિટમાં એને બ્રીફ કરી લઉં. આપણા ગુજરાતી મિત્રો જે છે અને અંગ્રેજી આમ તો બધા સમજતા જ હોય છે, પણ છતાંય કેટલી ક્લેરિટી કરવી જરૂરી છે. લક્ષ્મીજીએ શરૂઆતમાં સિક્રેટ ડોક્ટ્રિનના 3 પ્રપોઝિશન્સ, 3 પ્રસ્તાવનાઓની વાત કરી અને પછીથી એમણે દત્તાત્રેય ભગવાને જે પરશુરામને ઉપદેશ આપ્યો, જે આ સ્વપ્નવત દુનિયા છે એની એક પ્રક્રિયા બતાવી અને એ વાત જણાવી એમણે. એટલે પરબ્રહ્મની આખી પ્રક્રિયા એમણે બહુ સરસ રીતે કરી અને એની અંદર અહમ બ્રહ્માસ્મિ પહેલું સૂત્ર બતાવ્યું. ત્યાર પછી તત્વમસી બીજું સૂત્ર. ત્યાર પછી ત્રીજું આત્મ બ્રહ્મન અને પ્રજ્ઞાનમ બ્રહ્મ એ ચોથું. એમ આ ચારે વસ્તુઓને એમણે આ બતાવે, સાથે મનની પરિસ્થિતિની વાત કરી. મન જ અગત્યનું છે, મન જ બધું જ કાર્ય કરી શકતા, મન તો ઉપયોગી છે જ નહીં. એટલે આ એક બહુ અગત્યની વાત એમણે કરી. કૃષ્ણજીએ જે વાત કરી એ જોવાની વાત, નિરીક્ષણ કરવાની વાત કરી છે, અને ગો બિયોન્ડ ધ માઇન્ડ એવું એમણે સમજાવ્યું. મનની પાર જવાની વાત કૃષ્ણજીએ કરી. સેલ્ફ નોલેજની વાત કૃષ્ણજી આપણને કરે છે, અને મનને ખાલી કરતા જવાનું છે. આ પ્રક્રિયા બહુ સુંદર રીતે એમણે સમજાવી છે. ત્યાર પછી એમણે ઈશ્વરનું એક ચોક્કસ, જેને કહેવાય કે જેને કોઈ આકાર નથી, એટલે નિરાકાર છે, એનું વર્ણન થઈ શકતું નથી, એનું ફક્ત નિરીક્ષણ કરવાનું છે. એટલે ઈશ્વરની ઓમની પોટેન્ટ, ઓમનિશન્ટ અને ઓમની પ્રેઝન્ટની આખી પ્રક્રિયાની વાત એમણે સમજાવી. નિરીક્ષણ કરવાનું છે એટલે નિરીક્ષણ કરતાની હાજરી વગર કરવાનું છે, જે આપણને કૃષ્ણજી એ રીતે સમજાવે છે એ જ વાત કરી. પછી એમણે પૂર્ણની એક વ્યાખ્યા કરીને આપણને સમજાવ્યું કે જે મોટે ભાગે શંકરાચાર્યનું એમણે નામ દીધું નથી, પણ શંકરાચાર્યએ જે કહ્યું છે કે એ પૂર્ણને પામવા માટે, પૂર્ણ થવા માટે પ્રક્રિયા ઊભી થાય છે. એટલે પૂર્ણસ્ય પૂર્ણમાદાય પૂર્ણમેવ અવશિષ્યતે, એ વાત એમણે ત્યાં રજૂ કરી. ત્યાર પછી આપણી બધી પરંપરાઓ છે, પૂજાની પરંપરા છે, આપણા શરીર સાથેની ઓળખ છે, જે આપણે શરીર ઉપર ધારણ કરીએ છીએ, જેને ટીલા ટપકા, અમુક પ્રકારના વસ્ત્રો, પૂજાના વસ્ત્રો, આ બધું આપણે જે એના તાદાત્મ્ય સાધીએ છીએ, વસ્ત્રો સાથે તાદાત્મ્ય સાધીએ છીએ, આપણા પોતાના આચાર વિચાર સાથે તાદાત્મ્ય સાધીએ છીએ. તો કે છે કે જે ઈશ્વરે આ શરીર આપ્યું છે એ શરીરના સ્વને જોવાનું છે, શરીરને નહીં. એટલે સ્વનું દર્શન કરવાનું છે, પણ આપણે અજ્ઞાનતાને કારણે બધું વિભાગીકરણ કરી દઈએ છીએ. એટલે જે નોલેજ મળ્યું છે એની આપણી પોતાની જ ઇગ્નોરન્સને કારણે, એટલે અજ્ઞાનતાને કારણે આપણે ભેદભાવ ઉત્પન્ન કરીએ છીએ. એટલે થિયોસોફિકલ સોસાયટીની વાતની બહુ કેન્દ્રમાં એમણે આ વનનેસની વાતને પકડી રાખી છે. ત્યાર પછી ભગવાન દત્તાત્રેયની વાત કરીને એમણે પણ કહ્યું કે ઘણા શરીરમાં, આપણા શરીરમાં કીડાઓ ખદબદે છે, શરીરની અંદર જે રોગ છે એની ખબર નથી હોતી, પણ છતાંય એની સાથે તો જીવન જીવીએ જ છે, પણ એનાથી મુક્ત થઈને જીવન જીવવાનું છે. એટલે શરીર સાથેનો પ્રેમ એટલો બધો હોવો ના જોઈએ એમ સમજાવ્યું. મેડમ બ્લેવેટ્સ્કીનું ઉદાહરણ આપીને એમણે આંતરદર્શન કરવાનું કહ્યું છે, અને આંતરદર્શનમાં એમણે વળી અહમ બ્રહ્માસ્મિની વાત એ જરૂરથી સરસ રીતે લઈ આવ્યા. એમણે આઇન્સ્ટાઈન, જે આપણા વૈજ્ઞાનિક થઈ ગયા, આટલા મોટા મહાન વૈજ્ઞાનિક, એમની થિયરી, એનર્જીની થિયરી ઇઝ એમસી ઇક્વલ ટુ એમસી સ્ક્વેર, એની વાત એમણે કરી. અને આ એનર્જીના સિદ્ધાંત ઉપર જે એટમ બોમ્બની શોધ થઈ, વિનાશક શોધો થઈ, પણ તેમ છતાંય જે સમગ્ર વિશ્વમાં જે એનર્જી છે એ એનર્જીની આખી જ વાત એમણે સમજાવી. એમણે મેચસ્ટિકનું સુંદર ઉદાહરણ આપ્યું કે મેચસ્ટિક આપણે જોઈએ છે, પણ મેચસ્ટિકમાં જે એનર્જી રહેલી છે એને ખાસ તમારે જોવાની જરૂર છે. અને એ એનર્જી જ્યારે જોઈએ છે ત્યારે આપણને સમગ્ર વિશ્વમાં ઐક્યના દર્શન એ એનર્જી દ્વારા થાય છે. પછી વળી પાછું એમણે કૃષ્ણજીનું ઉદાહરણ આપ્યું, માઇન્ડની વાત કરી, અને ઓબ્ઝર્વ યોર સોરો, તમારા દુઃખને જુઓ, પણ વિધાઉટ યોર માઇન્ડ, અંદર મનને લાવ્યા વગર જુઓ. તો આ બહુ સુંદર વાત છે, ફોર્મ્યુલા બની જાય છે. અને આપણે જોઈએ છે કે થિયોસોફિકલ સોસાયટીના જ આપણા સાહિત્યમાંથી એમણે માઇન્ડ ઇઝ ધ સ્લેયર ઓફ ધ સ્લેયર, એની વાત એમણે સરસ રીતે કરી. સ્વરૂપ જ્ઞાનની જરૂરિયાત છે. આપણે જોઈએ છે ઘણી વાર સ્વરૂપ જ્ઞાન આપણામાં આવે છે તો કંઈ એ આછકલાઈ સ્વરૂપે આવે છે. ટમ્બલર લઈને બેસીએ, સરસ ઉદાહરણ આપ્યું, ટમ્બલર લઈને બેસવાથી કંઈ દરિયો આપણે ઉલેચી શકતા નથી. એટલે એ આપણે ભ્રમમાં હોઈએ છીએ. એટલે ભ્રમમાં જીવવાની, કલ્પનાઓમાં જીવવાની એ વાત એમણે કરી. એટલે ભ્રમમાંથી બહાર આવી જઈએ, કલ્પનાઓમાંથી બહાર આવી જઈએ, અને એવો અભ્યાસ કરીએ કે આપણે કેવા પ્રકારનું જીવન જીવવાનું છે. એ જીવન ઐક્ય સાથે, એકતા સાથે, સત્યની સમજણ સાથે, વિઘ્નોમાંથી પાર ઉતરવાની જવાબદારી સાથે, અને આપણી જાતને સમજવાની સાથેનું એ જીવન હોવું જોઈએ. પછી દ્વંદ્વ જ્યારે ઉભો થાય છે ત્યારે શું યાદ રાખવું જોઈએ? એકમ એવ બ્રહ્મ, એમણે એ વાત કરી, એકમ એવ બ્રહ્મ, અને ન અન્યહા, બીજો કોઈ રસ્તો જ નથી. એટલે આપણે બીજા કોઈ વિકલ્પોમાં જઈશું તો પણ એ યોગ્ય નથી. મનુષ્યનું મૂળત જે સ્વભાવ છે એ દૈવી પ્રકૃતિનો છે. મૂળભૂત રીતે એનામાં એ એકતા તો છે જ. એટલે મૂળભૂત સ્વભાવની વાત એ આમાં પકડી રાખવાની વાત કરી, જે સિક્રેટ ડોક્ટ્રીનમાં આપણે સરસ રીતે સમજાવ્યું છે. આપણે ભાઈચારો કર્યા કરીએ છીએ, બહુ સરસ બોલ્યા કે આપણે ભાતૃભાવ તો રટ્યા કરીએ થિયોસોફિકલ સોસાયટીમાં, પણ ભાતૃભાવ ક્યાંથી આવે? એ અંદરથી પ્રગટ થાય છે. અને એમણે બુદ્ધ ભગવાનનું ઉદાહરણ આપીને કહ્યું કે જે અણુઓમાં ઐક્યને સમજે છે, જે આપણે વૈશ્વિક પ્રાર્થના કરીએ છીએ કે અણુમાં રહેલા એ સમગ્ર અસ્તિત્વની સાથે હું મારું ઐક્ય સાધું છું, એની વાત એમણે કરી. પછી પનિશમેન્ટ જે છે એ કોઈ જગ્યાએ છે જ નહીં કુદરતમાં. કુદરત પનિશમેન્ટ કરતી જ નથી, પરંતુ શું કરે છે? ધેર ઇઝ પર્ગેશન. એમણે બાઇબલનો સરસ શબ્દ વાપર્યો છે, ધેર ઇઝ નો પનિશમેન્ટ બટ ધેર ઇઝ પર્ગેશન. ઓફકોર્સ એમણે બાઇબલ શબ્દ વાપર્યો નથી, પણ હું કહું છું અહીંયા પર્ગેશનનો એમણે સરસ વાત મૂકી છે. પર્ગેશન એ પ્યોરિફિકેશન સાથે સંકળાય છે, શુદ્ધિ સાથે સંકળાય છે. શુદ્ધિ થવી જ એટલે મૂળભૂત ક્રાંતિ થવી. આપણો ગોળ જે છે ઉત્ક્રાંતિનો છે, ક્રાંતિનો છે. પછી એમણે ડિવાઇન પ્લાન, દૈવી યોજનાની વાત કરી. આ દૈવી યોજના એ ઐક્ય સાધવાનું જ એક સરસ કાર્ય છે. તો દૈવી યોજના તો એમને પાર પડતી નથી. એટલે ગુરુચરણેમાં એમણે જે 4 પ્રક્રિયાઓ બતાવી છે, જેની અંદર વિવેક, સદાચાર, વૈરાગ્ય અને પ્રેમ, એની જે વાત કરી છે એનો આપણે સતત ચિંતન કરવાનું છે, એનો જીવનમાં અમલ કરવાનો છે. પછી એમણે મહાન મંદિરનો ચોક, એની બેસણનું જે પુસ્તક છે એની વાત કરી. ઇન ધ આઉટર કોર્ટ, ઓફકોર્સ એમણે એનું નામ ન લીધું, પણ હું અહીંયા જણાવું છું કે મહાન મંદિરના ચોકમાં જે ફરતા આગળ ઉપર જેમ યાત્રી મુસાફરી કરે છે, આગળ વધતો જાય છે, કેટલાક નીચે રહી જાય છે, કેટલાક ઉપર પહોંચે છે. તો આ એક મહાન મંદિરના ચોકની વાત કરી. એની અંદર એમણે જે દીક્ષાઓની વાત છે, પ્રથમ દીક્ષા તો કેવી રીતે મળે, બીજી દીક્ષામાં આપણે કેવી રીતે જઈએ, માસ્ટર્સ આપણને કેવી રીતે સહાયરૂપ થાય છે, આ ઓકલ્ટ સાયન્સ છે આપણું, એ ઓકલ્ટ સાયન્સ પણ એમણે સ્પર્શ્યું છે. તો આપણા અંદર તીવ્ર ઈચ્છા એટલે અર્જ હોવી જોઈએ. એ ઇનર અર્જ એ ખૂબ અગત્યની છે. તીવ્ર ઈચ્છા વગર આપણે કશું પ્રાપ્ત કરી શકતા નથી. પછી એમણે એક સરસ વ્યવહારિક ઉદાહરણ આપ્યું કે વાતો કરવાથી પ્રેમ નથી ઉત્પન્ન થતો. તમે ગરીબને મદદ કરો, ગરીબને ખવડાવો, ત્યાં સુધી તો બરાબર છે, પણ એને જ્ઞાન આપો જેથી ગરીબી દૂર થાય. ફીડિંગ ધ પુઅર ઇઝ વેરી ઇઝી, પણ ફીડિંગ ધ પુઅર વિથ નોલેજ, ધેટ ઇઝ મોર ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ. એમણે આ સરસ વાત કરી કે કોઈ પણ હોય એને જ્ઞાનથી એને પોતાને એવો સરભર કરી દો કે એ પોતાના જીવનની અંદર શું કરવાનું છે એને ખબર પડે. એટલે મનને ફક્ત પાછું જ્ઞાનથી તરબતર કરવાનું નથી, પાછું આગળનું સ્ટેપ પણ કહ્યું, ખાલી કરતા જવાનું છે. એટલે ખાલી થવાની વાત કૃષ્ણજી જે કરે છે એ પણ એમણે કરી કે આપણે આપણા વિચારોથી આપણી જાતને ખાલી કરવાની છે. વિચારો ભરી નથી રાખવાના, ભૂતકાળને લઈને ચાલવાનું નથી, બધું ભૂતકાળથી મુક્ત થવાની આખી પ્રક્રિયાની વાત કરી છે. અને પાછું એમણે એમ કહ્યું કે જેમ કૃષ્ણજી કહે કે સાંભળો, ધ્યાનપૂર્વક સાંભળો. એટલે લિસનિંગ પ્રોસેસને એમણે અહીંયા મુખ્ય આધાર બનાવ્યો છે. આપણે જોઈએ છે કે માસ્ટર્સ આપણને ઘણીવાર મદદરૂપ થવા પ્રયત્ન કરે છે, પણ આપણે તો સાંભળતા જ નથી. આપણે તો એ સાંભળવાની વૃત્તિ જ ધરાવતા નથી. એટલે બ્રહ્મની પ્રાપ્તિ જ્યારે કરવાની છે તો એ આજે અત્યારે જ થઈ શકે. કોઈ જગ્યાએ, કોઈ સ્થાનમાં, કોઈ પ્રવાસમાં ક્યાંય જવાની જરૂર નથી, કોઈ દૂર હિમાલયમાં પણ ચાલ્યા જવાની જરૂર નથી, કોઈ તીર્થસ્થાનમાં જઈને બેસી જવાની જરૂર નથી. હિયર એન્ડ નાઉ, અહીંયા અને અત્યારે જ આ આપણને અનુભૂતિ થઈ શકે. તો વનનેસની આટલી સુંદર વાત આપણને કરી છે આપણા આજના વક્તા સિસ્ટર લક્ષ્મી મંડલિકાજી. એમને ખરેખર હું આ રીતે આપ સૌ વતી એમના તરફ ધન્યવાદની લાગણી વ્યક્ત કરું છું અને આભારની લાગણી પણ આપ સૌ વતી વ્યક્ત કરું છું. એમણે જે કંઈ પ્રવચન કર્યું, જે કંઈ અંગ્રેજીમાં બોલ્યા, એ બધાનો આ એક સાર રૂપ મેં વાત કરી છે. આપ બધા પણ અંગ્રેજી તો જાણો છો જ, આપને પણ આપની રીતે એનો અર્થ તમે બરાબર સમજ્યા હશો એવો મને વિશ્વાસ છે. તો મારી આટલી વાત સાથે અહીંયા હું મારી વાતને પૂરી કરું છું. અસ્તુ ઇતિ શિવમ.
Harshvardhan bhai, thank you so much. What wonderfully summarized the entire thing. लक्ष्मी जी आपका बहुत बहुत आभार. आपने तो लक्ष्मी माता की तरह थियोसॉफी का धन बिखेर दिया हम सब लोगों के और धनवान बना दिया हम सबको. Now I question and answers by the participants. किसी को भी प्रश्न पूछना हो, कोई ने पण प्रश्न पूछવો હોય તો પ્લીઝ તમે લક્ષ્મીજીને પૂછી શકો છો. ધન્યવાદ. Anyone, please go ahead.
કોઈનો પ્રશ્ન હોય તો પૂછી શકો છો. તમારું માઇક અનમ્યુટ કરી દેજો.
અને વિડિયો પણ ઓન કરજો જો પ્રશ્ન વિડિયો.
Please ask the question.
आई थिंक टॉक इतनी बढ़िया थी और दोनों भाषाओं में अनुवादित हो गई तो बहुत अच्छा रहा एंड इट वाज रियली वेरी गुड. सो आई थिंक एवरीवन इज अंडरस्टूड एंड आर जस्ट अपने अंदर
introspecting, I guess.
किरीट भाई, एनीथिंग एडिशन इन दिस और एनीवन? वर्षा जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहें? विनायक भाई? हाँ बोलो किरीट भाई.
Lakshmi ji, you have put us in a realm of silence. So much silence that there is no question. And Harshvardhan Bhai summarized it so nicely. It is like, say, cup was already filled and then he added some value to it. Your lecture, what you said, if we understand properly, cannot be assessed by value. But in our day-to-day life, to understand it, I thought that I have heard it in English, so I have understood it. But when I heard Harshvardhan Bhai summarize it, I could see much more value in that, without undermining the valuelessness of what you said, So it was wonderful. It is wonderful. And I'll try to carry the effects of this. And I'm not overdoing it, I suppose, But joy is really overpouring itself. Please, it's overpouring itself in my silence, which I could enter, the realm of which I could enter through your lecture. Let me tell something about me. I am not a person who is easily impressed and who is not in the society of mutual admiration. Let me put it this way. Even to my professors, I sometimes said that, sir, I am impressed by what you taught me after studying under them, like say after 2 or 3 years. So please try to understand and please accept what I said. Seriously. And to Harshvardhan Bhai, wonderful. To Taral Bhai, your efforts are really bringing results on the surface. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Kiriti bhai, Kirit bhai, Vinayak bhai, or anyone who wants to say, please add. Otherwise, I will please invite Atul ji to.
Hello.
हाँ जी.
हाँ, लक्ष्मी जी, आप सिस्टर लक्ष्मी जी, आपने बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से विषय को एक्सप्रेस किया, जिसमें पूरी थियोसॉफी की थीम, माने पूर्ण नॉलेज ऑफ थियोसॉफी आपने यहाँ पर बताया है और बहुत ही अच्छे से और प्रभावी तरह से आपने अपना ये भाषण दिया. इसके लिए बहुत बहुत मैं आपको धन्यवाद देता हूँ. बहुत अच्छे. ओके,
धन्यवाद.
Thank you very much, Sister Lakshmi ji, for recharging our battery and knowledge of theosophy. And I also appreciate Harshvardhan Bhai Seth's effort that clarified everything to us. And whatever shortcomings or whatever we could not understand, that he has clarified. And that's an excellent effort. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinayak bhai. And now, if no one has question, I'll just hand over next proceedings to Atul bhai.
हेलो, हाँ, एक बात कहना था।
हाँ जी, बोलिए।
मैं गुजराती नहीं जानता, लेकिन हर्षवर्धन भाई ने जिस तरह से उसको एक्सप्लेन
जी।
किया, तो मुझे अभी कॉन्फिडेंस हुआ कि मुझे गुजराती समझती है। थैंक यू वेरी मच हर्षवर्धन भाई, क्योंकि विषय जाना पहचाना होने की वजह से वो क्या कह रहे हैं इसका ये आ जाता था, अंडरस्टैंड हो जाता। थैंक यू हर्षवर्धन
जी जी, थैंक यू अशोक जी।
થેન્ક યુ અશોકભાઈ.
हाँ अतुल भाई, प्लीज गो अहेड। अतुल जी,
हाँ,
प्लीज गो अहेड।
थैंक यू सिस्टर लक्ष्मी जी, आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से थियोसॉफी को समझाया है और हम आपके खूब आभारी हैं और सभी का हम अभिवादन करते हैं। अभी कोई प्रश्न या रजुआत न हो तो हम ये प्रोग्राम को कंक्लूड करें।
Yeah, there is no question. Please go ahead for prayers.
Prayer. सर्वेन सुखी सन्तु सर्वे निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा आत्मवेदि शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Once again, thank you. बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद. Thanks a lot. आभार. બધા participants જે આવ્યા બધાને આભાર. Thank you so much. અતુલ ભાઈ, please go ahead.
हाँ, હવે બીજા કોઈ પ્રશ્ન હોય તો આપણે ચર્ચા કરીએ. Hello.
Okay, we can discuss anything other than this. So I'll stop the recording and then we can go ahead. Thank you.
The recording has stopped.